This video is brought to you by expressvpn.com/Dudey. Hey guys, how's it going? Dudey here. I am back with another video. Today is very dark. Today's video, listen, if you're of a nervous disposition or, you know, if you're very sensitive, etc, etc, please go watch one of my other videos. This one probably isn't for you because this is one of the darkest stories, one of the darkest cases I have ever looked into for this channel. It could possibly be the darkest one I will ever look into for this channel. This is what is more famously known as the Hello Kitty murder. It is one of the darkest cases of torture, rape and murder that I have ever heard, and that is what we're going to talk about right now. So in May 1999, a young girl 14 years of age goes to a police station in Hong Kong claiming that she is being haunted by the ghost of a restless woman. The ghost is of a recently deceased 23-year-old woman called Fan Man-yee. Now Fan Man-yee was a waitress, a drug addict, a nightclub hostess and a prostitute. Now the young girl who went to the police, known as Ah Fong, probably an alias because of her age, claimed to police that for nearly a month Fan Man-yee was brutally, mercilessly tortured for a month leading up to her death. And the young girl Ah Fong knew this because she was actually involved quite heavily in the torture herself, along with three other men, three high-up members of the Triad crime syndicate. So the young girl told this story of how this girl was kidnapped and tortured and eventually murdered and disposed of, and to be honest, the police were in disbelief. They didn't actually want to believe it. They thought maybe this girl was a drug addict herself and was just spinning a load of bullshit, basically. But despite wanting to dismiss this because of the nature and the extremity of the story she told, the police decided they were going to investigate. They went over to the apartment and they discovered evidence that what this girl had said was in fact true. Straight off the bat, when they opened apartment 31 on Granville Road in Kowloon, they were hit immediately by the putrid smell of festering, decaying human flesh. Now this apartment was owned by 34-year-old Man-lok, a well-known drug lord and leader within the Triad clan. Now you have to understand, in the 1990s, Hong Kong was rampant with violence, with gangs running the place. It was not a great place to be. The local triads would be at brothels and nightclubs, and it was in one of these brothels in 1997 that Man-lok met Fan Man-yee. Now Fan Man-yee was 23 years old at the time, a well-known prostitute and ice addict. Fan didn't have the easiest of lives growing up. She was in orphanages throughout her childhood, released at the age of 16, quickly fell to drug addiction, and it was from there that she got into prostitution, selling herself to pay for this drug addicted way of life. In 1996 she actually married and had a son, but continued to be a prostitute to pay for her drug addiction. Her husband was also a drug addict, and neighbours used to complain all the time of hearing domestic abuse through the very thin wall. So even in her married life she didn't have a very happy existence. Now after Fan met Man-lok, he began paying her for long sex sessions and long ice sessions and binges. Because he was a drug dealer and pimp, it was almost the perfect combination, as Fan being a prostitute and a drug addict. So it wasn't long before Chan began pimping her out, as well as using her for his own personal sexual gratification. Now it was during one of these sex sessions that Fan stole money from Chan's wallet. Now I've looked across many sources and I see many different amounts. I've seen an amount that equates to $4,000 US. I've seen an amount that equates to $2,500 US. I've seen an amount that equates to £400, which would be about, what, $750. So the amounts differ, but the key is that when she stole it, Chan found out very quickly and he knew instantly that it was her. He went to her and she paid the amount back in full straight away. However, he wanted interest. Now, in the source that said it was $4,000, it's my understanding she paid back the $4,000. She then added another $6,000 on top in interest, paid him back $10,000 pretty much straight away. It still was not enough for this man. He wanted a further $6,000. He wanted $16,000 in exchange for her stealing the $4,000. Fan couldn't come up with this additional $6,000, so Chan and 2 other triad members decided to implement a kidnapping. They took Fan and took her to that apartment where all the evidence was found by the police, and this is where the true depravity of this story begins. If you want to step off now, I completely understand, guys, because it's going to get incredibly dark. Okay, so Chan Man-lok, 2 other triads, and his 13-year-old girlfriend. That's right, the girl at the start of this story, the 14-year-old who went to the police, was 13 at the time of all of this torture and was the girlfriend of Chan Man-lok. So not only was this man a rapist, a pimp, a drug dealer, a murderer, he was also a paedophile. Not the nicest of guys, let's face it. So anyway, Chan Man-lok kidnaps Fan. He wants to use her as his own personal prostitute until the debt is repaid. However, it doesn't quite go that way. For some unknown reason, maybe the depravity in his own mind, rather than using Fan for sex until he was done, pimping her out until her debts were repaid, he decided to get physical and begin beating her. And initially he beat her with his 2 other triad members so badly, it became very apparent very quickly that he wouldn't be able to use her on the streets as a prostitute to recuperate his money. So it was at this point he thought, fuck it, I'll just enjoy this, and began torturing Fan in incredibly dark, horrific ways. So picture the scene. You have an apartment weirdly entirely decorated throughout with Hello Kitty. That was never explained or understood. You have Chan Man-lok, 2 other triad members, and a 13-year-old girl, all torturing this poor woman. They used to melt plastic straws. The melted plastic would drop onto the base of Fan's feet, causing blisters and burns. And what they would do with these blisters is they would then pour chili or hot oil on top of the blisters to intensify the pain that she was going through. They would tie her up by her feet and use broken chair legs, lead pipes, broken bath pipes from the walls to beat her throughout her entire body. They would also put the chili oil or vegetable oil infused with chili hot oil into her wounds, onto her blisters, into her eyes. Any cuts or abrasions that she suffered, they would either masturbate into the wounds or put food and excrement and all sorts into her wounds. They would urinate on her, urinate in her mouth, make her drink motor oil. The 13-year-old girl even said when talking to police that she once defecated in a shoebox and then forced Fan to eat her feces. If she ever tried to spit out anything that she was being given to drink or eat, bearing in mind it was never food or water, she would be beaten until she swallowed whatever was in her mouth. This is abhorrent, disgusting, disgraceful behaviour for a human to do to another human. The girl told the courts they beat her all the time. They beat her when they were bored. They beat her for laughs. She was broken and playing with her wasn't so much fun after that, but we carried on anyway. There wasn't anything else to do. Once all the rape, beatings and torture took its toll, took too much, Fan was found one morning after being hung upside down by her feet from a hook in the living room to be deceased. Now, it's not known if that was from a drug overdose or whether it was from her body giving up from all of the torture that she had endured over 3.5 weeks. But it was at this point that the four began to panic. Why did they begin to panic? Because downstairs the police were investigating an unrelated rape case. I don't know what is going on with this apartment block, but it doesn't sound like a very nice area, to say the least. So they panicked. So they thought, we need to get rid of her body. So what did they do? They take her over to the bathtub and they begin dismembering her body. And it gets even worse. They thought, what we will do to try and mask the smell of decaying flesh, we will cook all of her body parts. They began sawing with a handsaw her up into different pieces. They removed her head. They put her head in a boiling pot of water on the stove. And once they were cooking her head, boiling her head, they actually got a bit peckish. So they began cooking noodles on the hob next to the pot that had her head in it. And I am disgusted to say, apparently they used the same spoon to stir her head in a pot as they did to stir the noodles that they were preparing for themselves to eat. Now, it's not believed that at any point they ate her body. Much of her flesh was disposed of in the garbage. However, a lot of muscles and vital organs were stored in the fridge. But the reason this is called the Hello Kitty murder is because what they did with her head was they took it after boiling it, stripping it of flesh, and they found a Hello Kitty mermaid doll, undone some of the stitching, stuffed the skull of Fan inside this doll and sewed it up. So her head was placed inside of a Hello Kitty doll. Now, like I said, after this, the girl began getting nightmares, reoccurring, seeing the torture in her head, believing that it was because Fan was not put to rest. She was a restless spirit tormenting the girl, so she went to the police and spilled the beans on everything. The police went to the apartment, investigated. Obviously, it was owned by Man-lok, arrested him and his two counterparts. The young girl was actually given immunity in exchange for cooperation and sending the other three down. They got a life sentence with the chance of parole after 20 years. This was in December of 2000. And interestingly, technically, this isn't actually the Hello Kitty murder, it's the Hello Kitty manslaughter. Because they couldn't differentiate, because the remains were so bad, because there wasn't much left to test, they couldn't determine the actual cause of death, whether it was an overdose or whether it was from the torture and beatings. So because of that, they couldn't pin the murder on the three guys from the triad. So instead, they got done with manslaughter. Still getting a life sentence, but available for parole. And when sentencing the three men to life in prison, Justice Peter Nguyen said, "Never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence and viciousness." And I think that we can all agree on that one. Guys, this is the horrendous Hello Kitty murder. What do you guys think about this case? Personally, it makes me feel physically sick. I'd love to know what you guys think down below. I have another case similar to this one coming later this week, so look forward to that. If you're watching this in like 2021, then obviously it's already up, so go and check it out. Guys, if you want to become a patron, it's an amazing way to support me as a creator. I also stream on twitch.tv/Dudey Rhino. I stream most days throughout the week. Like I said, twitch.tv/Dudey Rhino. Thank you so much, guys. If you like all sort of true crime, paranormal, conspiracies, this is your place to be. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you very soon. Like I said, this video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go to the link down below if you want to protect all of your passwords, your videos, your online content, everything that's on your devices. ExpressVPN is the one for you. Also, if you want to watch US Netflix, ExpressVPN is an amazing, solid, best VPN on the market. expressvpn.com/Dudey. The link is down below. Thank you so much, guys. If you click that link, you get 3 months for free, 49% off. Thank you. I'll see you very soon. Sweet one, geese.